So I am going to make a few things here this morning, but before I get started, I have my two babies, and I'm going to try and do this morning without the big boot. I'm just going to try it in the wrap and see how I do. And as you can see, I've got two babies. I'm going to go ahead and get them a treat. So if you give me just 1 minute, I'll be right back, and let me get them a treat and we'll get started. You guys need a treat, do you? Oh, goodness. You're such good babies. You're good babies. Okay, I'm sorry about that. I wanted to go ahead and get them a treat before I get started. And I don't have my hair pulled up today. It is down. And it's cool this morning. And I'm just still a little bit tired. I had a little restless night last night with my leg and foot. And that boot is really starting to put a lot of pressure on the one side of my ankle. So I'm trying to give my leg and foot just a little bit of a break, but I do have it wrapped, and I'm going to see how it goes. So I'm going to make a basic breakfast, sheet pan breakfast. Then I'm going to make a roast and get it in the oven, and then I'm going to make some homemade applesauce in the crock pot today. So if you're just coming in, good morning, welcome, and I'll go ahead and try and get this started. If my leg cannot take the pressure with just the wrap, I will take just a little break. I'll walk off and get my large boot put back on, and we'll see how this live goes. And I will go ahead and say this up front, I do have puppies, and they do play. They are puppies being puppies. So trigger warning, you may hear wrestling and playing in the background, but those are my babies. Those are my puppies. So anyway, let me get my hands washed and I'll get started. So, yes, I have my coffee. And if you see me bumping around, it's the puppies or the kitty coming through. And this is a new tripod. We're not used to it. I accidentally left mine at the camper. And since I had my accident, unexpected accident with my leg and foot, my other tripod I normally use is at the camper. So please bear with me. We will make it through this. So I've got my coffee and I'm getting ready here. No, baby, it's all gone. All gone. So let me get my hands washed. I'll turn you around just a little bit. Hopefully we don't get bumped by puppy. Get my hands washed and we'll get started. So hello. Good morning. Welcome in. It is cool here in Ohio this morning. Is it cool where you're at? It still feels like fall, like autumn. So I'm just going to go ahead and put a roast in my oven today. That'll make it an easy meal for me since I'm injured. And I'm going to make a sheet pan breakfast. And it's just going to be a basic sheet pan breakfast, nothing special. So I'm going to go ahead and get started with the sheet pan breakfast. And I have my roast out. I have my goodies here for that. I've got my potatoes for my roast, an onion for my roast. And look at these beautiful apples. And I can just see them in the crock pot and turning them into applesauce. So these are my beautiful apples, and I'm going to turn those into some applesauce in the crock pot today. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm just going to start with my sheet pan breakfast. So I'm going to go ahead and move all of these things to the other side, giving me a little bit more room. And yes, I'm in frame and out of frame. I'm not a professional in any way. And hopefully you can see me and see my workspace here. And I'm just going to go ahead and wipe that. And I'll move everything a little bit closer here so you can see what I'm doing. And this is just a basic sheet pan breakfast meal. And again, it's nothing special, nothing out of the ordinary. So I'll be using, I have some bacon, so I'm going to go ahead and use up my bacon. And if you've been watching me, then you know I normally have powdered milk. So to save some time, I went ahead and mixed up 8 ounces of powdered milk. I'm not going to need that much, but I went ahead and got it ready. And I'm going to be using a cookie sheet lined in aluminum foil. And I absolutely love these pre-cut parchment papers. It's perfect for my deep cookie cookie sheet. And I'm just going to kind of fold the edges a little bit just to make it fit just a little bit better. So how are you doing this morning? Are you enjoying this cool weather? I'm absolutely loving this cool weather. I think it was about 55 here this morning. Okay, so let me go ahead. And all I'm doing is just trying to form this a little bit. So it'll fit my lined cookie sheet just a little bit better. And then I'm going to spray it with a little bit of Pam, just so nothing sticks. I don't want my breakfast sheet pan to be stuck, so I'm just going to spray that really good. I'm doing it over my sink so I don't make a mess. So basically I just covered that with some Pam. Hopefully you can see that. My lighting in here is not the greatest. And then I'm just going to kind of shape it a little bit. And I like making things like this up ahead of time. That way, if I want to put it in the freezer and have a quick meal, a quick breakfast, quick brunch, I can just go in and get it out ahead of time, let it thaw, and I've got a sheet pan breakfast meal ready to go. So I'm going to go ahead and get started. The only thing I'm going to be using this morning for my sheet pan breakfast is I'm going to be using 6 large eggs. And hopefully you can see my workspace there okay. I'm going to be using my leftover bacon that's been fried. I will add, I had some frozen peppers, a little bit left from yesterday, so I went ahead and let them thaw. And I had a little bit of onion left over yesterday, so I'm going to use it. And then I have it's 2 cups of the sharp cheddar cheese, shredded. That's all I'm going to be putting in it. And then I will add just a little bit of garlic powder. And I will put just a little bit of parsley flakes on top. So it's just going to be a basic breakfast. And then I will be adding just a little bit of milk in with my eggs whenever I beat my eggs together. I hope you can see that okay. So I'll go ahead and get started on this. I'll leave all of these here to the side. And I'm just going to crack 6 eggs. And these are just grade A large. My foot is giving me a little bit of trouble, and the boot was rubbing in one area. So I'm trying this without the big boot this morning. I do have my foot and my ankle wrapped. It is looking better. The bruising is not as bad, but it is still very tender, so I don't know how long I'll make it without my boot this morning, but I'm trying. And we'll see how it goes. I'm going to go ahead and preheat my oven to 350. Just want to make sure I don't have anything in my oven. I'm sorry, I'm in frame, out of frame. I'm not a professional filmer, as you can see. I've got 4 eggs. I'm going to do 6. And this is a pretty small cookie sheet, and it's a deep cookie sheet, so I like to use it for my sheet pan breakfast. My husband occasionally will eat sheet pan breakfast, but I usually am the one that does the sheet pan breakfast, and I like them for breakfast or brunch, or just a snack if I just want a snack. So I've got 6 eggs. And I'm just going to whip them up a little bit. So how are you doing on this beautiful, cool morning? So I'm still rotating freezers and pantries. And I thought, well, it's cool this morning. I can go ahead and use up the rest of my bacon from breakfast and turn it into a sheet pan breakfast. And I can put that away in the freezer. And that way I'm using up my leftover bacon and what was left over from my peppers, my green pepper and onions yesterday when I made my chili yesterday on my live stream. So I just have 6 eggs, and I've just beat them pretty good. And I just mixed up 8 ounces of my powdered milk, whole powdered milk. I'm just going to add a little bit to my eggs because it makes your eggs more fluffy for the sheet pan. So it depends on how much you want to add. I just go by look and feel. And I didn't put my hair up this morning. It is down. I apologize. I was trying to get a few things caught up this morning. I needed to do the puppies' little bed blankets and catch up a few little things. And I was running a little bit behind. So my hair is still down, but it'll be okay. We'll work through this. So basically, I've got 6 grade A large eggs. I've added a little bit of milk to my egg mixture. I've got a cookie sheet, and this is a deep one. It's pretty deep. It's about like so. And I've added a pre-cut parchment paper and just sprayed it with some Pam. Now I'm just going to pour my eggs right into my pan. And I'm just going to try and form it a little bit around my parchment paper. And I'll bring you just a little bit closer here so you can see what I'm doing. And this light is not the greatest. So basically, let me see if I can cover it. I just have my eggs on my cookie sheet lined with parchment paper, and I sprayed it with Pam. So let me see if I can move that away from that light. I'll try putting it here on let me try putting it right here on this little board, because that light doesn't do very good. No, I need to keep it up here to keep it level. I'm sorry. We will try our best. Maybe I can move it around. I'm not sure. Or I can always just cover so you can see. Okay, the first thing I want to do is I'm going to try and use up these green peppers, and I let them thaw. These were the frozen ones, and I didn't want them frozen, putting them in to my breakfast, sheet pan breakfast. And I just had a few left over, and I thought that's just going to be great for a sheet pan breakfast meal. And I'm trying to do a few things ahead of time, because with me being injured, I don't really have the ability to go back and forth to the store. And unfortunately, that leg and foot that's injured is my right foot, which is for your gas pedal. Okay, I've just now got the green peppers in there, and I've got a little bit of onions left over. So I'm just going to go ahead and dice these up. I think I've got a knife somewhere. Let me just use this one. And I didn't want a whole lot of onions. I don't want to overwhelm this, because it's not a large sheet pan. And this is mostly something that I'll be eating, and I know what I like in it and about the amount that I like in it. So this is a sheet pan breakfast sheet pan, so you can put in anything you want. You can put in mushrooms, tomatoes, peppers, onions, sausage, bacon. You know, just make it your own. I'm just trying to use up some things that I had left over yesterday from when I made my homemade chili and cornbread for dinner yesterday. So good morning if you're just coming in. And I have to apologize, I am injured. But I'm doing my best to keep up with little things and doing little things here around the house. Okay, so I went ahead and diced up that little bit of onion. Oh, I might as well just go ahead and add that rest of that. It's not much. And like I said, this is just a small cookie sheet. It's not a large one, so I don't want to overwhelm it. So I may or may not use all of this onion. It just depends. And I'm just going to do like I did with the peppers, and I'm just going to kind of scatter those onions throughout. Yeah, I think I'll go ahead and just use them. And then I have some leftover bacon from breakfast. So I'm just going to kind of crumble that up into my pan. I'm hoping that you can see that. I don't know if I can turn. Maybe that would be better for right now, so you can see. I hope that you can see what I'm doing there. I'll turn that light off for just a little bit so you can see what I'm doing. That light is really bright. So basically, I'm just going to break this fried bacon up, left over from breakfast, and I'm just going to scatter it into my sheet pan. I'm really enjoying this cool weather. I was ready for a break from the heat. And right now my puppies are being good. I hope they stay that way. So morning they may get anxious and play and wrestle. But right now I have a kitty in the kitchen who's exploring, so he may bump the tripod. And I have one puppy here beside me taking a nap. So hopefully we'll make it through this live without them getting too rambunctious. But if they do, they are just puppies being puppies. So I'm just basically breaking up some bacon to add onto the sheet pan. I love sheet pan breakfast because you can add whatever you have if you've got anything left over, or if you know that you've got company coming. It's something you can make ahead of time, and it's, amazing for something quick, something easy. And I like to nibble on them for breakfast or for brunch or just for a snack. And this way I'm using up all my leftovers from yesterday, and I'm turning it into another freezer meal that I can put in the freezer. Okay, so I've got onions, green peppers, my oven preheated to 350. I've got onions, green peppers, bacon, 6 eggs with a little bit of milk added to my egg mixture whenever I mixed it up. And I'm not sure if this has the ounces on it. Yes, this is 8 ounces, 2 cups. And I'm just using sharp cheddar. It's what I had in there, so I'm just going to go ahead and use it. So I'm going to go ahead and get this in the oven, and while this is in the oven, then I can put my roast together. And then I will get started on my applesauce, and I'm going to make my applesauce in the crock pot. And I'm just going to scatter this cheese. And I'm only going to do like about half the bag there. And then I'm going to go ahead and add a little bit of my garlic powder. Just plain garlic powder. Then I'm going to go ahead and finish adding my cheese. And I just try to spread it as evenly as I can throughout the top. Like I said, it's nothing special. This is just a basic sheet pan breakfast meal that I'm using up some of my leftovers and making an amazing sheet pan breakfast meal out of. So I'll bring you just a little bit closer, and hopefully you can see that okay. So that will be ready to go in the oven. I'm going to go ahead and turn this light back on. So this is ready to go in the oven. The only thing I'm going to do right now is I'm going to top that just a little bit with just a little bit of parsley flakes. Just something for decoration. If it's something that I can do now and then I can use it later, I think that's absolutely amazing. So now I'm going to go ahead and put this in the oven at 350. And it'll probably take about 15 to 20 minutes. So I'm going to go ahead and set my timer for 15, and I'll check it. So I'm going to go ahead and move you back this way and move you up. And I'm just getting used to this tripod, so please be patient with me. This is not my normal tripod, but we are making do. So I'm going to go ahead and put a few of these things away, and then I'll get my roast started while that is in the oven. And I have me a little trash thing here, my handy dandy little trash. And I'll go ahead and get these put out of the way. Get my workspace cleaned up just a little bit. And I am not a professional cook or chef. I just enjoy cooking and baking. So I'm going to go ahead and move these to the side. Put my milk in the refrigerator. And I'm going to go ahead and just clean up my workspace a little bit. So while that's baking, I'm going to go ahead and get started on a roast. And my roast is just basic, simple roast. I don't do anything special. And I know if I make a roast that I'm going to have several meals out of this, at least dinner tonight with my roast, and then whatever's left over I can put in the freezer and we'll have another meal, because it's only myself and my husband. So whenever you're cooking for only two, this comes in absolutely handy. You know, make a meal today for dinner and then put the other in the freezer for another meal. So to me, this is amazing. So what I'm using today is just a chuck roast. And it's just a natural fresh beef roast. And this one is 12.44 pounds. So it's a nice size roast. And I like the flat roast. It depends on what you prefer. This is just the way that I like to do my roast. And I use a baking dish, just a glass baking dish. As you can see, that's absolutely the perfect size for this roast. So let me go ahead and wash my hands here. Okay, I do a really simple, easy roast. It's nothing special. I'm just going to be using some potatoes. And I've got one bag of baby carrots. And this is a 16-ounce bag, 1 pound. No, I don't wash my meat. I do not wash the meat. The reason I don't is because I know the butcher at Kroger's, and whenever I'm wanting a roast, he goes right back and cuts it and then brings it out to me. So I'm not going to wash my roast. Now, if you prepare to wash your roast, or if you would prefer to wash your roast, then that's, I understand, you know, definitely, you know, you do what you feel safe and best with. But I do know the butcher, and I've been going there for 10 years or more, and he is amazing. He's absolutely amazing. A great person to work with. So I'm going to move a few things around here, and I'm just going to peel some potatoes. And I have one onion that I'll be using. So I'm just going to kind of move this away, because what I'm going to do, since I'm injured and I'm trying to move as little as possible, I'm just going to peel my potato, wash my potato, and then put it directly into my pan. And I've already washed my potatoes before I am peeling them. So I thought, it's cool weather. Yesterday I made chili and made cornbread in the cast iron skillet. And I like to do that because we had dinner last night, and then I had enough chili left over that I put the chili into 2 more containers, and I placed that in the freezer, and that'll be 2 more meals for myself and my husband. Have a great day. Bye. Okay, thank you. And I'll leave these in pretty big chunks because I don't want them to cook up to nothing. So I'm making pretty good sized chunks and just dropping them all the way around the outside of my roast. I've made a roast like this before on my live streams, and so I'm sure there's one on there where I've made a roast before. And this is just something that I like. This is the way I prefer it. And I only had one child at home. So this made plenty for myself and my daughter when she was growing up. And I just got used to doing it this way. And it just works for me. So, if you like another roast, how did you learn to cook? Watching Mom. Yes, we had a very large family, and my mother cooked all the time. She was making breakfast, lunch, and dinner. And I'm originally from West Virginia. And also, my grandmother was a Mennonite. So watching my mother and watching my grandmother is where I learned to cook and to bake. And of course, there's some things that I just adjusted to my own as I got older. And when I first learned to cook, we were cooking for a family of 10. There was 10 in our home. So I learned to make very, very big meals. And it was quite a change whenever I left home. And then when it was just myself and my daughter, I had to really adjust down. So now that it's just myself and my husband, after all the years of cooking and baking for myself and my daughter, it works out really good for myself and my husband. And I do have my breakfast sheet pan, breakfast in the oven. And I'm letting that bake while I'm getting my roast ready. And I am very injured right now, so I'm trying to move around as little as possible. So that's why I'm just peeling and washing and then putting them back in. Thank you. Oh, you're welcome. My mother and my grandmother used to can and preserve a lot of food. And they used to make applesauce outside in the fall. And they had the great big gigantic cast iron kettle. over the fire, and they had the real long wooden stirrer, and they still do this. And you would take turns stirring, and all of the children would help to peel and core the apples and get them ready. And it was a wonderful day making apple butter. And I kind of really miss those days. But I'm making applesauce today. But I'm not using the large kettle, and I'm not doing it outdoors. I'm going to be using a crock pot. And I'll be making homemade applesauce this morning in the crock pot. After I get my roast ready to go in the oven, I will start working on my apples to make my applesauce in the crock pot. And I thought, this is something that's kind of quick. I won't have to be up on my injured leg and foot very long. And it'll be a very healthy meal. And I'll have extra. So it'll make a few meals. I'll have some meals to put in the freezer. Some freezer meals. And I was really glad that I had done some freezer meals ahead of time, because when you have an accident or an unexpected injury, it is so nice to go to the freezer and you have already prepared some freezer meals ahead of time. And that was an absolute blessing. And I was so grateful that I had done that. So I found my present me saying thank you for preparing these ahead of time in the past. I was very grateful, very, very grateful. Okay, I'm just going to try and get as many of those potatoes in there on the side as I can, because this is going to be more than one meal. And when I got my Kroger order delivered yesterday, they had sent some smaller potatoes, and I thought, well, those will just be great to make a roast with. They're russet potatoes, and they're nice potatoes, so I thought, well, I'll just make a roast. And that way I've used up a lot of these smaller potatoes. And I think I'm just now going to start putting a few across the top. This is such a quick, easy roast. It doesn't take very long to put it together. And if I need to take a little bit of a break off my leg, because I do not have my boot on, a big air boot that goes to my knee. It was rubbing a place on my ankle. So I'm in just a wrap today on my injured foot, but I don't want to be up on it very long. So I needed something that I could do that was going to be quick, healthy, easy, and I could just go in and check on it throughout the day, the roast in the oven as it bakes. And I will still have a healthy meal and have extra roast to be put into my freezer. Now these on the top, I'm going to cut them a little bit smaller because I'm going to be laying them across the top. And I just kind of press them down a little bit into the roast. And I'll just cover the top of my roast like that. I am so ready for fall. It's been a really hot summer here in Ohio. Hot and dry. So I'm enjoying this cool weather. And for some reason, when the weather gets cooler, I feel that I need to make applesauce. And chili and cornbread like I made yesterday. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and check. That's been in there 15 minutes. And I'm going to say let's do another 10. Probably about the time I'm ready to put my roast in. That should be ready to come out. If I've got it aimed right. We'll see. We'll see if I've got it timed right. So this way, even though I'm injured, I'm still eating healthy. My husband's eating healthy. And I'm also building back up my freezer meal stock. Hi, I'm back. Hi, Flowers Forever. Good morning. We're making, right now I have a sheet pan breakfast meal in the oven baking. And we are making a roast this morning. So about the time that is ready to come out of the oven, the roast should be ready to go into the oven. And then I'm going to go ahead and I've got some beautiful apples here. And I'm going to make some applesauce in the crock pot. How was the pie kind of thing that you did yesterday? In my country, it's 4 a.m. Oh, wow. That was a pineapple upside down cake that I made yesterday. And oh, it turned out amazing. And I had a phone call come in right at the end of my live. And didn't realize when I touched my phone, I muted myself for probably the last 5 minutes of my live. But, as I've said many times, I am not a professional in any way. But it did turn out absolutely amazing. And the chili and cornbread was absolutely delicious. Okay, so I've just basically got a roast in my pan, and then I've covered it with potatoes. Now the only thing I'm going to do, so I've got a small bag of carrots. And I'm going to go ahead and just rinse them. And this is 1 pound bag of carrots. The mini carrots. The baby carrots, as they're called, I think. And I'm just going to go ahead and rinse these. And then I'm just going to scatter them right across the top. I love baby carrots, but I'm impressed. It's okay, but I'm impressed because I have 30 views. Oh, wow. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and just scatter these throughout the top as evenly as I can. And yes, we're still working with the injury, but we're getting through it. We're still eating healthy and getting the little things done that I can get done. And that way I know I'm not stressing. I know that myself and my husband are eating healthy, delicious homemade meals. Because if you are the one that's in charge of feeding everyone, even when you're injured, you still have to make sure that everybody else is eating healthy and eating good meals. Okay, so all I did was now I've got a roast, I've got potatoes, and I've got carrots, baby carrots. So I'm going to set that here for just a minute. And I've got 1 onion. And I'm just going to slice this into slices. And I'm going to turn these into little ringlets. I just think it makes the roast so pretty. And yes, I'm in frame and out of frame. I apologize. Like I said, I am not a professional in any way, shape, or form. I just enjoy cooking and baking. And a lot of these recipes I put on because my daughter absolutely loves it. I love your cooking. Oh, gotta go. Thank you for sharing your cooking. Hope your leg heals up. Oh, Eddie, thanks. So nice. Yes, that is so nice, Eddie. Oh, Flowers Forever, I'm glad that you like my cooking. I enjoy sharing, and my daughter gets a little overwhelmed in the kitchen. And so when she goes to make something new, she'll come to Mom, and she'll say, Mom, I like this recipe that you make. And a few times she'll come and she'll be in the kitchen with me as I make the meal. And then she feels more comfortable. So by me putting some of them on my live streams, if my daughter wants to make one of my recipes, it's just like she's in the kitchen with Mama, because she does live in another state. And she's about 3.5 hours away from me now. So this gives her the ability to make the meals that she enjoys, and it's just like she's in the kitchen with her Mama. I'm just making little ringlets, and I'm just dropping them on the top. And I just think this makes your roast so pretty. I'll try and stop every now and then and read the comments. I'm on my phone and the comments are quite small, so again, like I said, I am by no way, shape, or form a professional filmer or chef. And I just think that makes an absolutely beautiful keep up with the cooking. And I gotta go. Bye. Hope your leg heals fast. Oh, well, thank you, Flowers Forever. I think that makes an absolutely beautiful roast. And I just kind of scatter wherever I feel I can put them. And then if you don't like onions, you do not have to do this part. But I just think it really adds to the roast, and it gives it such a pretty, yeah, such a pretty roast. Now, the only other thing I'm going to add to my roast is plain and simple. I'm going to add some garlic powder. Let me go ahead and add some salt and pepper. Now, you don't have to add the garlic. If you don't like garlic, you can skip this. I need to check my breakfast sheet. Oh, and it is ready. Absolute perfect timing. So my breakfast sheet is ready. So I'm just going to set that off to the side. And I'm going to get me a cookie sheet. Let's maybe. Apparently I've shifted some things around, so give me just 1 minute. And I'm just going to get me a cookie sheet lined with aluminum foil. And I'm going to set my baking dish right on there. And I want it big enough. I want it big enough so that if it's cooking and baking throughout the day, if any of it comes up and boils over, I want it to try and stay on a pan and not make a big mess in my oven. So I want to try and get something that's big enough that if there's anything that cooks or boils over, that it will pretty well catch it here in my pan. Okay, so I've got my garlic powder on. I'm going to add some salt and pepper. And I'm babying that foot. I've got it up on my tiptoe, and I'm leaning it against my stove, so I'm not standing full pressure on that injured leg. The boot they gave me is an air boot, but for some reason, it put a lot of pressure. I don't know if it's the swelling in my ankle, but it did put a lot of pressure on the one side of my foot. So I'm trying to give my foot a little bit of a break from that big old boot this morning. So garlic powder, some salt, and some pepper. This is just a basic roast. Now the only thing that I do, my daughter calls it my secret ingredient, is I use 1 can of warm Pepsi. And you can use any cola. And what this does is it helps to tenderize your roast. So I go ahead and add that in. And I kind of try to pour it like right over top of my roast in little areas. And it also gives your roast a more sweet taste, and it almost glazes your carrots and onions as well. And I just use 1 can of warm Pepsi. And I like using the glass baking dish because then I can see how much fluid I have in my baking dish after I add my Pepsi. So then I'm just going to take some bottled water and I'm going to add some bottled water because I want plenty of liquid on my roast. But I don't want to get it too full because I don't want it to boil over. So I'll leave a little bit of space. And then I'll just keep coming in throughout the day while it's baking. And if it needs more liquid, I'll add more liquid. So that's basically what I do. And that's bringing my liquid level up. So now the only thing I'm going to do is just wrap this with aluminum foil. And I'm going to place that in the oven. And that will be dinner. And I have some biscuits already. So I'll have a roast for dinner and some biscuits. I still have pineapple upside down cake that I made from yesterday. And then I'm going to make some applesauce, some homemade applesauce this morning in the crock pot. And I didn't put my hair up. I was running late. I didn't want to be late on my live and have people waiting if there was people coming in. So I apologize. My hair is down. But it is what it is. I'm doing the best I can with me being injured. So, got it nice and wrapped. My oven is 350 degrees. And then I'll just come in throughout the day and just check the roast as it's baking to see if I need to add a little more water, and I'll just add a little bit more water if I need to add more liquid. So, got the breakfast, the sheet pan breakfast made, and it's got eggs, bacon, green peppers, onions, and cheddar cheese. So that is done. Looks delicious. So I'll be cutting that here in just a little bit, and I'll be putting it in some containers and putting it in my freezer. So, get a few things here out of the way. And I'm going to go ahead and wipe off my space again, my little workspace. We are remodeling our mobile home, and a mobile home is small, but when you're remodeling and you have half of your kitchen remodeled, this is the part that has not been remodeled yet. So I'm working with half of my kitchen remodeled, half waiting to be remodeled, and I know one day it will be completed. I know that. So I'm going to go ahead and get started on my applesauce. And I have these absolutely beautiful apples, and I thought those are going to look amazing as applesauce. So I'm going to make some applesauce, and I use this little handy dandy tool. This one is by the Pioneer Woman, and this will core my apple and slice my apple for me. So I'm going to go ahead and use that. My apples have already been washed and dried, and I'm going to go ahead and use this, and then I'm going to put them in a bowl, and I'm not going to add any water I'm not going to add any lemon juice because I'm going to be turning these into applesauce, and I'm going to be adding cinnamon. So if the apples start to brown a little bit, it isn't going to matter. But if I was making applesauce without cinnamon, I would have water and I would have a little bit of lemon juice to put my apples in. So I'm going to set that off to the side and get started. Let's see, I'll keep the apples maybe on this side. Let me see, maybe I can do it like this. I'll just bring them over one at a time because I need some space. And I'm hoping that you can see this okay. And I'm going to go ahead and flip my board over because I did cut onions on the other side. And with me being injured, I'm trying to save myself a lot of cleanup and washing. And that's why you see me just shifting back and forth because of that leg and foot. So I'm just flipping this one over, and I'm just going to use this side to cut my apples. And then I'll get them in the bowl, and then I'll move over to my crock pot, which is setting over here. And that's what I'm going to be making my applesauce in today, is my crock pot. And this is an absolutely amazing, I don't know if you've ever used one of these or not. Just line up your apple as close to the center as you can. And I'm short, so sometimes I struggle with this. And you just put your hands on each side and then just push down. Is that not absolutely amazing? So your core's in the center and you have your little apple pieces. To me, it makes it so fast and easy. My apples are cored, and all I have to do is peel my apples. And now, if you're making applesauce, you want to make sure that there's no core left in there. And then I just drop them in my bowl. Now, it depends on your crock pot. You may want to make these smaller if you want them cooked quicker. But with my crock pot, and I've used it many times to make this applesauce, so I know this size is perfect. And I'll just let the apples sit in the crock pot and cook down. And then once they're cooked down, I'll just take a potato masher and I will mash them up. I like mine a little chunky. So does my husband. So I'll get it to what I want, and then I will serve that warm tonight for dinner as a dessert. And then my husband also has pineapple upside down cake, and he still has one lonely brownie over here in his dessert dish. So he can choose what he would like to have for dessert this evening. But when it gets cold, I don't know why, but as soon as it starts to get cold, I think I need to make applesauce. And I love to start it early in the morning, and I've got the cinnamon in it, and I've got it in a crock pot, and the aroma through the home. I've got roast in the oven, so I've got the aroma of the roast baking, and then I will have the applesauce started in the crock pot, and it will be cinnamon flavor throughout my home on this morning, this cool morning. And I just think that's amazing. It's just the little things in life that make you happy. And that's just one thing that makes me happy. It doesn't have to be big things. Small things make me happy. So there is my core. And these are very sharp. So I want to be careful when I'm removing anything. But this does speed up my process instead of me trying to core them and peel them and chunk them. This is an absolutely amazing little addition for the kitchen. If you like applesauce or making homemade apple butter or apple pies, I really like it. It's just a very nice little addition. And as I'm getting older, I know my hands don't work like they used to. And it actually saves a lot on my hands and my time that it would take me to come in and prepare things. So far I'm doing good this morning. I know I'm moving slow. I'm in frame and out of frame. But so far I've got my sheet pan breakfast meal made. And my roast is prepared and in the oven. And it's baking now. And I'll just let that bake at 350 and just keep checking on it. Adding more water if I need to. And I will get my applesauce going in my crock pot. And then I can just go and relax and rest and stay off of my injured foot today. And injured foot and leg. And right now I'm kind of got my leg against my cabinet. I don't have my big boot on. And I'm not putting full pressure on that foot and leg. But that one part of my ankle, it may just be the swelling in that large air boot that went clear to my knee. It was rubbing one little place on my ankle, and I didn't want it to rub a large blister and make it hurt a little worse. So I'm giving my foot and leg a little break from the big boot. Still waiting for the orthopedic doctors to call and get an appointment set up so I can get in and see them, and hopefully I won't have to wear that big boot much longer. So I'm doing the best I can while injured. Just doing some little things. And the meals that I've been fixing, I think is amazing because I'm going to have extra each meal that I can put in the freezer. And I will be stocking back up my freezer meals. So on days that I'm having a lot of trouble with my foot and leg that's injured, I can just go in and take out one of my freezer meals, and it will make it so much nicer for me. And I know that my husband is still eating healthy, and I'm still eating healthy. So right now, all I'm doing is peeling my apples, and I'm pouring them, getting them ready to go into the crock pot to make applesauce. And I'm using this wonderful apple core dicer. Saving me a lot of time. And right now I need that because being up for any long length of time is really it's too much on this injured leg and foot. And this is my good foot and leg. So it's putting pressure on my bad foot and leg that was injured at work, and that's why I'm disabled from that injury. So it's putting a lot of pressure on my bad leg because now the other leg is injured, so I'm doing the best I can. I don't want to get stressed out, so I just do a little bit, sit down and relax. What I don't get done today will be there tomorrow. And I'll take care of it tomorrow. It'll be all right. And I was running late today, so yes, my hair is down. I apologize, but I didn't know if there was going to be people waiting, and I did not get my hair pulled up to be in the kitchen. But I'm making do. It will be okay. It is all good. So if you stopped by today, I want to thank you for stopping by. If you like videos like this, please like and subscribe. And you can like it while I'm on a live stream like this by double tapping the center of the screen twice. And I don't have a whole lot of subscribers. I'm not a big channel. And I'm not really trying to grow my channel. But if you like this kind of videos, and I'm by no means a professional cook or chef. I just enjoy coming on and cooking and baking when I'm not doing anything paranormal. And so it's my channel, and I just kind of use it for different things. I may be at the camper and come on live. I may be baking and cooking. I may be discussing thoughts about the paranormal, and it just depends on what is on the agenda for me for the day. And that's kind of nice about having your own channel, because you can do things that you enjoy, and you can share things, maybe cooking, baking, dehydrating. I do some dehydrating on here. I'm now making my own flour. I have my own grain mill, so I'm doing my wheat berries into flour. I'm making my own butter. So there's different things that I do, and I enjoy sharing that because I'm learning and I'm sharing. And if you find that interesting, and you want to try it, please don't be afraid to try new things in the kitchen. It's fun. Enjoy your kitchen. I think that learning new things and doing new things is absolutely amazing. And I think I learn every day. And I enjoy learning new things and trying new things. So I'm sorry if this is boring right now. I could have went ahead and had all these apples done, but I didn't want to stay up for different long times on that foot and leg. So I wanted to see how far I could get, trying to just do as much as I could, and then I would take it from there. But I think I'm going to make it through and go ahead and get this applesauce started in the crock pot. And then I am definitely going to need to go sit down and put my foot up and take a nice rest. And just enjoy the aromas of the roast in the oven and the apple cinnamon applesauce in the crock pot. And enjoy the rest of my day. And I will have a wonderful dinner. Hey, I'm in school. I'm here. Hi, troops. How are you today? Good to see you. Right now, I have my breakfast, sheet pan breakfast meal is done. I took it out of the oven. And I have a roast now in the oven. And now I'm peeling and coring my apples, and I'm getting ready to start some applesauce in the crock pot, some cinnamon flavored applesauce. I'm good. Right now. Everybody's been very good and respectful, as always, in the chat, and I am so grateful. And Troops is here, and Troops is my only mod. So, my moderator. So thank you, Troops, for stopping in. And I didn't even know how to do a moderator. He had to help me through that. So I'm in school right now. Okay, Troops. Well, thank you for stopping in. I appreciate it. Good to see you again. I always enjoy you being in chat. And I hope you have a good day at school today. And I've almost made it through. I've got 5 more. I think I can. I think I can. I'm like that little train. I think I can. I think I can. My foot's hanging in there. Of course, I'm not standing full pressure on it, so. And it does feel so nice just being able to take that big old boot off and give my foot and leg a break. It is an air boot, and it goes clear to my knee. Yeah, good seeing you again. I will stay for a while longer. Oh, well, thank you, Troops. I'm not going to do a whole lot more on here today. I'm just going to try and get these apples ready. And I've got my crock pot set out already, and I'm going to go ahead and get these started in the crock pot, and I'm going to turn them into some applesauce. Cinnamon flavored applesauce. And I cannot wait to have some warm homemade applesauce for dessert for dinner. Just to make sure no one will be mean. Oh, well, thank you, Troops. I so appreciate it. Everybody's absolutely wonderful. As always, I really appreciate everybody. They're so patient and so kind. And you don't know how much I appreciate that. I appreciate it so much. They're always so patient with me. And my puppies are actually sleeping. They're taking a nap. The last couple lives, they were a little rambunctious. But I think I got them wore out before I come on the lives today. They woke me up at 3 a.m. this morning. So by the time I come on for the live, I think they were ready for their little nap. So they're being a good little boy and girl this morning. And they are Maltese puppies. One's 6 months old, and one is 1 year old. I have a little male and a little female. And they are my fur babies. They are my loves. Okay, we're getting there. 4 more. I'm getting close. Yeah, yesterday it sounded like it was romper room at my house. and the day before on my live streams. They were so full of energy and playful. But I think they have wore themselves out. They've had their breakfast, and now they're taking a nap. And they're being amazing little babies for me this morning. So I am so glad they're being good. Hi, everyone. Hi, Kimberly. Good morning. If you're just coming in, Kimberly, we made a sheet pan breakfast meal, and it was just a basic one. I didn't have a whole lot in it. Alright, my teacher almost caught me. Oh no, you better get off of here, troops. Don't you get caught now. You be a good student and learn some things, some important things. But thank you for stopping in, troops. I really appreciate it. As always, thank you so much. So I went ahead and got my sheet pan breakfast baked. It's just a basic one. It just basically has 6 eggs, 6 grade A eggs. And I added just a little bit of milk whenever I beat them up, when I scrambled them. And I have a cookie sheet, and it's a pretty deep cookie sheet. And I had it aligned with some aluminum foil. And then I had some pre-cut parchment paper. I put the parchment paper on top of the aluminum foil, sprayed it with some Pam, and then I added my egg and milk mixture first. I had some green peppers and onions left over from making my chili yesterday when I did chili and cornbread in the iron skillet. So I used up my green peppers and my onion. And then I had some bacon left over from breakfast, and I added that bacon, a little bit of garlic powder, and some cheddar cheese. So I got it in baking, and then while it was baking, I got my roast prepared. And just as I was finishing getting my roast ready to go in the oven, my sheet pan had just finished. Okay, well done. Bye. I'll see you. Okay, thank you, troops. Yes, you learn. Be a good student. And I'm just trying to move as little as possible here today. If you've watched my last couple live streams, I had an accident with my accidental injury on my leg and foot. And I've been in a air boot up to my knee, and I'm giving my foot and leg a little bit of a break from the air boot this morning. I do have it in a wrap, and I'm trying to move as little as possible, shifting back and forth, and I don't want to put a whole lot of weight on that foot and leg, but I wanted to go ahead and get something started for dinner and dessert. And I'm also, by making the sheet pan breakfast meal, I'll be putting that in the freezer. So whenever I want a quick breakfast, I can just go in and get it out and let it thaw, and I'll have a quick breakfast or brunch or just a snack. And then I've been making meals, and like the chili yesterday, I had we had chili for dinner, and then I had 2 containers I put in the freezer. So I'll have some extra freezer meals. And had extra cornbread, so I put that in a freezer bag, and I put that in the freezer. And today I'm making roast, which we'll have for dinner tonight, and then there'll be extra roast. And that will also be going in for a freezer meal. And right now, with me being injured, I really am trying to make sure we eat healthy, first of all. And I want to make sure I'm getting plenty of rest on this foot. I'm trying to make meals that I know I can stretch out into more than one meal And that way I'm restocking my freezer as I'm rotating my freezer. I'm restocking my pantry. The other day I made fettuccine noodles to restock my pantry. And I made those with the pasta and more pasta maker. And then I laid them out and dried. So yesterday on my live stream, I showed the noodles and how nice they looked. And I was putting those away before I got started on my chili. So I'm restocking my pantry, rotating my pantry. And right now with me being injured, I know that I can't just jump in a vehicle and drive to the store because it's my right foot, which I would need for my gas pedal. So I knew I had plenty of flour and eggs, and I'm just going through my freezer and I'm making nice healthy meals, rotating my freezer, rotating my pantry, and just allowing my body to heal. It was an unexpected injury, so I'm really glad that I do have some things prepared ahead of time. And this apple here has got some really bad spots. I'm just going to go ahead and toss that one. It looks like it's wormy. So I'm just going to toss that one. That part of it, not the whole apple. I'm not going to waste. I don't know, it's clear through. I'm just going to toss that one. It's a bad apple. It's one bad apple in the bunch. So, and I'm on my last apple, and then I can get this over to the crock pot and get started on the applesauce. So, we did it. We made it through. I'm almost done here, and I'm going to go ahead and get this started. And then I will take me a nice long break. And then all I have to do is just come in and check my roast throughout the day as it's baking. Add a little more water if it needs more liquid. And keep an eye on my applesauce and just enjoy the aromas from the roast and the cinnamon applesauce cooking in the kitchen today. And with me being injured, I think that's going to be an absolutely wonderful blessing. You know, I know that I've got wonderful aroma coming from the kitchen, and to me that's soothing. And it's just the little things that we do for ourselves that makes us feel good. So I guess it's self-healing, self-soothing. And I enjoy cooking and baking, so. And even when you're injured, you still have to eat, and your family has to eat. So these are some meals that I can stretch out. They're easy. I don't have to be on my feet for long periods of time on that injured leg and foot. And I thought I would just come on and share with everybody how things are going. Still waiting for the orthopedic doctor to call. You know, they'll call whenever they get to it. So I am still following the instructions from the emergency room. I'm keeping that foot and leg elevated as much as possible. And that's why I'm making the meals that I'm making right now. Alright, that was my last apple. Thank you so much if you stayed clear through this. Down to me then to my last apple. And I'm so grateful for this little amazing tool. So now I'm just going to take my little bowl of apples. And I'll bring you over here where I'm at. We'll limp together. Hoping I don't bump you too much. And hopefully you can see this okay. Let's see if I can get you in there a little bit closer and down. And I'll let you just, whoops, I'm so sorry I bumped it. I was afraid I would. I'm just going to put my apples in my crock pot. And it didn't matter that these started to brown a little bit because I'm adding cinnamon and sugar. Now, if I did not want the cinnamon and sugar, I would have made sure that these were in water and added a little bit of lemon juice to the water so they didn't brown. But I'm going to be putting cinnamon in mine and some sugar. So the first thing I want to do, I want to add just a little bit of water. Not much, because these apples will make some water. So probably about 1/4 cup. Just enough to cover the bottom of the crock pot. Because these apples are going to make juice. And I'll check it. And if I feel they need a little bit more, I'll add a little bit more as they're cooking down. And then I'm just going to, add some sugar. Hopefully you can see that okay. Then I'm going to add some cinnamon. And you just add this to your taste, whatever you would want. And I'll just kind of come in and check it as it starts to cook down and see if I feel it needs a little bit more. So I'm going to go ahead and just put my lid on and turn it on high to begin with until my crock pot heats up. And then I'll turn it down to low, and I'm just going to let those cook, and they will cook down. Now, once they cook down, and I feel they're done, then I'll just take my potato masher and I just use a metal potato masher, and I'll mash them to the consistency I want. Now, I like chunks, and my husband likes chunks, so mine won't be pureed like your store-bought applesauce. And the reason I like the chunks is if I want to make a pie or some cookies, I can use this like an applesauce to make like applesauce bread, like you would make banana bread, to make cookies, to make a pie. You know, there's so many different things that I could use it for. So I like to leave mine just a little bit chunky. So anyway, that is all there is to it. I hope that wasn't too boring. I need to wash my sticky hands. Before I do that, let me go ahead and get my handy dandy little trash bag, which served me well for my potato peelings and for my apples. And I'll go ahead and get this over to the trash. So, that was quite creative here this morning, and I've only been on here for an hour and a half, which is what I've been trying to aim at, being up about an hour to an hour and a half, and then I need to take a break. So I'm going to take this over to the trash. And that way I don't have a whole lot of cleanup to do. I've got a couple knives. I've got a couple. This one I use for my trash. This one I use to strain my carrots. And then I have my bowls that I had my potatoes and my apples in. And then I have my wonderful little tool, which is a Pioneer Woman, to help me core and cut my potato, or my apple. And I have my cutting board. So I don't have a whole lot of cleanup to do. And I can just go ahead and put some water in here, let these soak, so I can get off my foot for a little bit and rest. So I hope you enjoyed that. I hope it wasn't too boring. And my roast is absolutely nothing special. Same thing with it was just a simple roast, simple and easy. Same thing with my sheet breakfast meal this morning. It was just a simple, easy sheet breakfast with some leftovers that I had that I needed to use up from yesterday. And it turned out absolutely amazing. So I will have that to put in the freezer as well. So while this was baking, it gave me time to get my roast prepared to go in the oven, and it worked out just fine. I pulled my roast out of the oven, and or my sheet pan breakfast out of the oven, and then I put my roast in the oven. And then I went ahead and got my apples prepared, and now they are in the crock pot. And I am going to go ahead and just kind of stir my crock pot. Just to get everything stirred up, my sugar, my cinnamon, and that little bit of water. And I'm going to enjoy this aroma coming from my crock pot as my applesauce cooks down. And this is a small batch because it's only my husband and myself. So I'm just making a small batch. I had those apples and I thought, you know, instead of turning them into a pie, I'm going to make some applesauce. So anyway, I hope that was not too boring. I want to thank you for stopping by, and if you like this kind of a video, like and subscribe. And no, I'm not a professional chef. I'm not a professional anything. You were seeing that probably by my filming. But anyway, enjoy the rest of your day. Enjoy this cool weather. I'm enjoying this cool weather, and I'm trying to heal, and I am taking it easy on the foot. Today I have it wrapped. I'm giving it a little bit of a break from the boot, and that's why I did not do a whole lot of moving around, because I have not made it into the orthopedic doctor yet. The boot, like I said, was rubbing one area, and I think it's my foot, the way it was swelling. So it needed a break from the boot, but I needed to come in and get something started for dinner that I know once I got it started, I could just go sit down, put my foot up, enjoy the aromas coming from the kitchen while my roast is baking, and while my applesauce is cooking in the crock pot. I'll have that cinnamon apple. So I'm going to sit back the rest of my day. I'm going to enjoy the aromas, and I'll be enjoying a very nice dinner, and I will have leftovers to put in the freezer. So thank you for joining me. I've been on here over an hour and a half. So I need to hop off of here. So thank you for stopping in. Thank you for your kindness as always and your patience. I appreciate that so much. And enjoy the rest of your day. And as always say, don't be afraid to try new things in your kitchen. Enjoy your kitchen and have fun. And please be kind to one another. We really need to see more of that. More kindness, love, and understanding. So, until next time, bye-bye everyone. Enjoy the rest of your Thursday. If you like the roast or that I put together, I don't have a recipe written down. If you just follow me and you want to use this roast and try it and you like it, please, by all means, try. The same thing with the sheet pan breakfast and the applesauce. So anything that I'm making that you like and you can try it and enjoy it, you're more than welcome to, and to share it with your friends. So until next time, bye-bye everyone. Have an absolutely wonderful Thursday. I need to go get off this leg and foot and get my foot up in the air and give my bad leg a break because it's been taking most of the weight in here because I don't have my boot on today. So bye-bye everyone, and I'll see you the next time. And enjoy the rest of your day. Enjoy this cool weather. Enjoy your kitchen. Bye-bye everyone. See you next time.